The key role of the president is to guard the reserves. Singapore is a very funny country. There are so many things that nobody knows. Just days before the nomination day for the presidential election, the outgoing president, in an interview with the newspaper review, that he already used the reserves for more than 27 times. Nobody knew. Everyone was given the impression that the reserves was only used during the last financial crisis. During the crisis in Parliament, all the MPs were asking, how much money do you lose? All kinds of excuses, all kinds of answers, replies, but the answer never came. Nobody knew how much money we lost. Nobody knows. Strange country, right, Singapore? But we know now because Temasek report came out this year. In 2009, according to Temasek's report, the negative wealth added in that year was $68 billion. You know how many zeros is $68 billion? Pardon me for my language for what I'm going to say next. Some of my friends jokingly say to me, it's your money. It's not somebody else's grandfather's money. How much money do you have in total? Cannot tell you, it's a secret. How much money do you lose? Cannot tell you also. Use the money, also never tell you. Now they tell you to use the money, but never tell you how much money to use. Your money or somebody else's money. The reason given as to why the reserves was allowed to be used 27 times for SIRS, Selective On-Block Redevelopment Scheme. How many times for land reclamation? How many times for other projects? Nobody knows. The reason given why the reserves was allowed to be used was even more funny. The reason was because the government of the day will be disincentivized to use the current reserve for long-term projects which are good for the people. I'm at a loss for words. I think this is what I call super contradiction. Isn't that why the office of the presidency was established in the first place? For the president to guard against a government from using the past reserves unless it's absolutely necessary. We have lots of current reserves. Because of these presidential elections and all the debate about reserves, there was a clarification. The average annual net return investment contribution, NRIC, is about $7 billion a year. You know, the government budget is in surplus like 9 out of 10 years. Every year, you have about maybe $10 billion of land sales. That's not counted as revenue in the budget. You have NRIC of $7 billion. Why do you need to dip into the past reserves? Because some people say, or the explanation was given, past, future, what's the difference? It's all your money. It's not the same. When the money comes out from the reserves, it can end up in various places. It can end up with GIC, it can end up with Temasek, it can end up with stat boards. So what's the difference? The disclosure, the transparency, and the accountability are all different. Let me give you one example. Temasek sold 3 of our biggest power companies to foreign companies. Need to go to Parliament to report? No need. Parliament approved the privatization of our Changi Airport to Temasek without a price. Find me any parliament in any country in the history of the world that allows the sale of a strategic asset like its airport to a company without even saying how much is the price. But now we know the price because Changi Airport Group's report came out. The price was only $3.3 billion. 1,300 hectares of land that they can use, and the price only $3.3 billion. Do you want to vote for a president who will sit by idly and in silence and let the reserves be used and nobody knows? No! president, historically in Singapore, has always been called the people's president. You know why? Because the president has always been the patron of the charity sector. You have the President Star Charity Show and so on. How many poor people are there in Singapore? Nobody knows. But there are clues. I give you one clue. 2 Sundays ago, on 14 August, it was revealed that 200,000 needy Singaporean families have qualified for financial assistance under COMCARE. You know how difficult it is to get approved to be eligible to get financial assistance from COMCARE? If you look at the latest approval rate, 71% of the people who apply manage to get it. So every 171. If 200,000 needy families manage to get it, how many apply? 280,000? There are only about 900,000 Singaporean households. So what are we looking at? 1 in 5 that is so poor, so cash-strapped that they have to apply for financial assistance and manage to get it. On the same day, August 14, 2 Sundays ago, we had good news for you. 710,000 people will be able to get your community benefits card. You see, 20% of the participating GPs, doctors, you pay less because government gives a subsidy. How many people cannot pay for the medical bills? Nobody knows. But there are clues as well. According to Credit Counselling Singapore's annual report, about 21% of Singaporeans who go there for credit counselling is because they cannot pay the medical bills. Like Ivy Singh Lim said, what kind of country have we become that so many people cannot pay the medical bills? So is it good news that 710,000 people can now get a community benefits card? Because now you can apply when you're 40, you don't have to wait until you're 65. Now your household per capita income is raised to 1,005. It's not 800. I tell you what's the problem. You go to see the GP, he gets a subsidy of $17.80. He charges you what he wants, you pay the difference. The difference that you pay is still more than what you will pay if you go to the polyclinic. So the solution to our healthcare problem is not to pass the buck to the private sector and then you go there and you pay more than you go to the polyclinic. What is the increase in the number of hospital beds in Singapore over the last 10 years or so? The answer is 0. And this one nobody knows. It's in the Department of Statistics report. 10 years, the number of total hospital beds increased 0. The population increased by 1 million. They've been selling medical tourism and they managed to attract 850,000 tourists coming for medical. Now you know why when you go to hospital, you wait. Tan, like all the tans. The president has always been a unifying force for Singaporeans. Singaporeans progress together. That was in the past. Now you have a trend increasingly. More and more people at the bottom are finding it hard to make ends meet. How do we know? Look at the unemployment figures. Local unemployment rate last quarter increased from 2.7 to 4%. Every day you read the news, right? Economic growth very good, jobs are being created, wages are going up. How come unemployment going up? But that's not the end of the story. The 4% unemployment, 80,000 unemployed are locals. What are locals? Singaporeans and PRs. How many are Singaporeans? Nobody knows. Every time you ask, how many of the unemployed are Singaporeans? Somebody know lah, but then we don't know. I suspect most of them are Singaporeans. Why? If you are PR, you have no job for a long time, you can't get a suitable job, you will leave, go to another country or go back to your country. There are so many things that nobody knows. Do you want to vote for a president who will sit idly by in silence when your reserves are being used and nobody knows? No! When more people have to apply for financial assistance, 1 out of 5 households. Now you know. When how many people, Singaporeans unemployed, you don't know. How many people cannot pay for their medical bills, you don't know. So come Saturday, vote for a president who will not sit idly by and be silent. Vote for a president who will be the voice of the people. Vote for my friend for about 30 years, Tan Kin Lian. Thank you.